Imagine a highway stretching thousands of miles, but instead of cars, it's camels, horses, and even ships, carrying not just goods but ideas, religions, and cultures. Welcome to the ancient trade routes, the original global network that connected the world long before the internet. Let's dive into one of the most fascinating, the Silk Road. Picture this. It's around 200 BCE, and the Han Dynasty in China wants to trade silk, a fabric so luxurious it was worth its weight in gold. But silk alone didn't make the Silk Road famous. This route became a melting pot where East met West. Caravans would start in China loaded with silk, spices, and porcelain. They'd travel through Central Asia, passing bustling markets filled with Persian rugs, precious gems, and even glassware from the Roman Empire. Along the way, traders didn't just swap goods, they exchanged stories, technologies, and religions. Buddhism, for example, traveled from India to China, carried by monks and merchants alike. Imagine a Buddhist monk walking alongside a camel caravan, sharing teachings that would shape entire civilizations. But the Silk Road wasn't the only ancient trade route shaping our world. The Trans-Saharan routes connected West Africa with North Africa and Europe, trading gold, salt, and even ideas. Timbuktu, in present-day Mali, became a legendary center of learning and culture, all thanks to these trade connections. And then there's the Maritime Spice Route, where sailors braved the Indian Ocean to exchange spices like cinnamon and cloves, along with ceramics and textiles, between East Africa, India, Southeast Asia, and beyond. These routes weren't just about wealth. They were the veins through which culture, technology, and religion flowed. Papermaking and gunpowder from China, Arabic numerals from India, and Greek philosophical ideas all traveled these paths, shaping the modern world in subtle but profound ways. So next time you enjoy a cup of tea, wear silk, or use a number system, think about these ancient traders who made it all possible by bridging continents and cultures long before airplanes or smartphones. Here's a mind-bending fact. Some historians believe that the bubonic plague, the Black Death, spread along these very trade routes, showing how interconnected the ancient world really was. So what if these ancient trade networks were the very first version of our global village? How different would history be if these routes never existed? To truly grasp the impact of these ancient highways, we must look beyond the exchange of goods and consider the profound cultural and technological diffusion they enabled. For instance, through the Silk Road, not only did silk and spices travel vast distances, but so did ideas about medicine, astronomy, and art. Chinese inventions like the compass and printing techniques found their way westward, influencing navigation and knowledge dissemination in Europe centuries later. Conversely, Western ideas and technologies such as glassmaking and certain metallurgical techniques moved eastward, enriching societies along the route. The Trans-Saharan trade routes similarly fostered the rise of powerful empires like Ghana, Mali, and Songhai, whose wealth and influence were fueled by gold and salt trades. These empires became centers of education and culture, exemplified by the famed University of Sankore in Timbuktu, attracting scholars from across Africa and beyond. This intellectual exchange laid foundational stones for advancements in mathematics, astronomy, and literature. Meanwhile, the Maritime Spice Route not only connected distant lands via sea, but also facilitated the exchange of religious beliefs, such as Islam and Hinduism, which spread along coastal cities and islands. This maritime network helped establish cosmopolitan port cities like Malacca and Calicut, where diverse cultures mingled, creating unique blends of language, cuisine, and art. It's fascinating to consider how these trade routes also shaped social structures and daily life. Caravanserais, for example, were roadside inns where travelers could rest and exchange news, serving as crucial hubs of communication and cultural interaction. Markets became melting pots of languages and traditions, fostering tolerance and mutual respect among diverse peoples. The movement of religions along these routes profoundly affected spiritual landscapes. Buddhism spread into East Asia, facilitated by merchant monks, transformed philosophical thought and art. Similarly, Islam's expansion along trans-Saharan and maritime routes influenced legal systems, architecture, and education across vast regions. Technology also traveled these pathways. The spread of papermaking technology from China to the Islamic world and eventually to Europe revolutionized record-keeping and literature. Gunpowder, initially a Chinese invention, altered the nature of warfare and political power globally. Even culinary traditions evolved through these exchanges. Spices like black pepper, nutmeg, and saffron introduced new flavors to distant lands, changing diets and cooking methods forever. However, these interconnections also had darker consequences. The same routes that carried goods and ideas also facilitated the spread of diseases. The bubonic plague, which decimated Europe's population in the 14th century, likely traveled along these networks from Asia, illustrating the vulnerabilities of such global interactions. Reflecting on these ancient networks, it becomes clear that they laid the groundwork for today's interconnected world. They shaped economies, cultures, and even the geopolitical landscape by fostering interdependence long before modern globalization. Without these trade routes, many of the cultural and technological advancements we take for granted might have been delayed or never occurred. So next time you trace the origin of your morning tea, the fabric of your clothes, or the numbers you use daily, remember that their journey began centuries ago, along dusty roads and vast oceans, guided by the footsteps of traders, monks, and sailors. These ancient highways remind us that humanity's story is one of connection and exchange, a continuous thread weaving together diverse civilizations into the rich tapestry of our shared history.